Hi.
Hi, how are ya?
Good. I
Good.
saw you pop up right there, and I'm like, "Oh, I better jump on here."
Oh, sorry. I always, even in Zoom meetings, I always try to arrive a couple of minutes early. It's just this weird thing that has been drilled into my mind since I was very small.
Well, yeah, and I had messaged you like an hour ago saying like, "Hey, I got my stuff done early. I'm hanging out if you want to start early." And I was like, I'll just hang out."
Sorry. Yeah, I took Sunday mornings I try to do either like a big activity. So I'm either doing my long run or today I did a 5.4-mile hike in the snow.
Holy cow, how's that working out?
It was good. It was harder than I wanted it to be. So that kind of felt weird, but
It's good for you, right?
yeah, I was just getting home an hour ago and like furiously putting on makeup and trying to look presentable. So
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you showed up. So let
thanks.
me do the whole spiely thing here.
Okay.
So welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I'm here with Erica Anderson Center. She's the author of 7 Days Now from, let me make sure I get this right, Dandelion Review. And I love this title, Midwestern Poets Incomplete Guide to Symbolism by Eastover Press, right?
Yep,
Now,
yep.
am I missing any books or chapbooks? Are those the main two?
Those are my
Okay.
babies. Yep.
Because I kind of went through your website, but it wasn't, some stuff wasn't up to date, and I had to kind of Google around, and I was just like, eh.
Listen, most of my stuff isn't up to date. So that's my
No,
bad.
no. Are you kidding? Like the last 2 years is like a, control alt delete for everybody. So
Hey, yeah, seriously.
I wanted to say too, in the last few days, I kind of went back when I knew we were gonna get ready to talk, and I went through some of your stuff, and two poems that really spoke to me. Um, Again, I had to write it down so I didn't mess this up because the titles are so great. Handbook for the Almost Divorced. Ooh, that
Mm.
was really that was really powerful. I was like,
Oh,
right on, right on.
thank you. Thank
And
you.
the other one, which going back a little bit further, which was Breaking Up on the Moon.
Oh, yeah. But I remember exactly where I was, what I was wearing when that poem was given to me by the gods. Like, that poem probably has like three or four small, like tinkering revisions. Other than that, like it was handed to me.
I
I was
just kind
like,
of picture you like, I don't know, either at a cafe with a friend or just in the grocery store or something, and just being like, do 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 do. Then
yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Thank you for this gift. Thank you. Gracias.
but have you done that thing? And I've talked to so many people about it, but everybody I think that's a writer or any kind of artist has gone through it. Where, like, if you're talking to somebody like in a regular conversation and they're not, I mean, everybody's creative in their own way. Maybe their creativity is just watching TV and their favorite shirt. I don't know, but people who don't necessarily make something or I don't know, write or sculpt like with ghosts in their head, like in the movie Ghost or something. But everybody gets, I call that like the lightning zygote thing, where it kind of lands in your head, and then you're having a conversation across the table with somebody, all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, just I if just
Yeah, yeah.
and they're like, "Are you having a stroke? Do we need to call 911? Like, are you about to poop out of your mouth? What what in the bright blue fuck is going on here?" And you're just like, I is and they're like,
Yeah.
"I don't speak that. What are
I
you?"
don't understand stammering artists. Let me
Does
get my
that has that
dictionary.
happened where you're just like, maybe your phone isn't within reaching order, and I mean, singers will sing melody lines and then
Right.
their
Yeah.
phones, and writers, we don't always have, notebooks and everything. We sometimes we're just out somewhere and we got to grab a napkin, or you're like, give me a fucking napkin.
Yeah. Seriously. No, that happened. It doesn't happen as much as it used to, which is weird, I think. I don't know. I mean, you said it earlier, the last couple of years have just been very hazy. But I don't go anywhere without a notebook. So like I don't carry a purse, I carry a book bag. And I always, I mean, and it might sound pretentious or like a 12-year-old boy, but I don't go anywhere without my backpack.
No, you know
And
what? I mean, like, if it works for MacGyver, it can work for you.
yeah, that's right. And,
I'm so glad you got that reference. So, I mean, you never know what you're gonna need, and I have been, how do I phrase it, caught out in the wind, let's say, without, something, and then I'm just like just going for a walk at a
yeah.
park or somewhere, and I'm just like frantically going up to a stranger, like, I need a pen, I need
You
like,
have a piece of
I,
paper I
I
can
left my
borrow?
phone in the car, but you're like,
Yeah.
you're between the car and me, and they're just like,
Yeah. No, I think anyone who's observant or open to like those weird like alleyways into spirituality, like those things hit us a lot. And I don't know if it's just that I've lost practice or if I'm a little more distracted um, with teaching. Teaching takes up a lot of space.
and it's a lot of, I have friends that are teachers and professors as well, which is there's a lot of take home.
Oh my God.
Is that a thermometer swizzle stick in your
Mm,
coffee?
no, but Lord Jesus, wouldn't that be a good thing? It's just a little normal guy, just a little swivel.
I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I like it. I've got my Bennington mug
Nice, with the lipstick on it and
with the
everything,
lipstick. Oh yeah, fancy.
making it happen. But one thing that because I do a lot of different kinds of writing. I do, poetry and short stories, and then the last like few years, it's like having like some pretty good luck with writing like short film scripts and stuff. But
Oh,
for me, well, that like I find that like short stories and scripts, you can sort of write those in a vacuum, like, and that kind of worked for me like during lockdown and like the last year and a half. But poetry, and I've talked to other people about this too, that I feel like the stuff I'm writing is potent, but like the quantity is a lot less than before the pandemic, because man, I just can't wait. Like, I'm so excited to just get out in the world and have like new adventures, new experiences, meet new people, do all this stuff, because that really, those life experiences feed
right.
what we're going to write, because poetry is such a personal, individual thing.
Yeah.
And I'm of the mind that it's like, you got to chase it down. It's like a feeling. You got to chase it down, like I was talking about, having those weird, awkward social situations where you got to get at least like the germ of it like down right as fast,
Right.
because they're so fleeting, you know.
Yes, they are. They're hard to hold on to like dandelion wisps, It's just like if you don't hold on to it and put it in a case, it will disappear.
Like, I feel maybe in the last couple of months I've written a few poems that I'm like, oh, this sucks a little less. But there was like that whole stretch from, and and I've talked about this too. I will support, friends that are trying, that you're either working on or have submitted or gotten accepted to like what I call pandemic themed anthologies. But I gotta tell you, like, I'm so over it. I think like while it was happening, and like the 6 months right after in like 2020, 2021, we had the captive audience. So we were kind of like, tell me about your experience on the riding the couch in your pajamas, drinking box
Right.
wine and eating ice cream at 1 in the morning. It's fascinating to me. But then after that, you're like, well, okay, we've all kind of gone through it. Let's
Right.
get past it.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, the other day I was telling someone, like, I kind of like I'm pruning a new manuscript, and I just realized I'm like, I can't imagine 6 months or a year, whenever this book comes out, getting up in front of people and talking about, so like maybe one or two or three like pandemic or what was me, in my pajamas on the couch poems or whatever, but like 20 or 30 of them I'm like, oh, no way, just I feel
Yeah.
like so many people have done that, that it's kind of
Yeah.
like you're gonna get lost in the shuffle if you're just
Mhm.
having, uh, I mean, and so many people do this. It's, I make fun of these titles of things where it's like documentaries or like my year of crying or like, you've seen those titles of things where it's like, a survivor's guide to riding the couch, and it's like, okay, you got some Dave Barry stuff going on. It's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
a whole book of that. Oh, that's pretty. It's like if you were to pick up two books in a bookstore and you're like looking at it, you're like
Right.
this like book title that basically sounds like me,
Right.
or a book title where you're like, you know, I went through it, I got through it, and then like it's a sunny day now. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say.
I do. Now that's it's the truth. Like I think we've been with it. We've been sitting with it with our own experience, with our friends' experience. Because if you're an artist, you've talked to your friends about how you've created during the pandemic, like these things. Like we have been living in the quagmire of it, that it's like maybe the art that I want to consume doesn't live there. Now, of course, it's not me saying, like, if you're writing poems about the pandemic and your response to it, cool, I love it. Um, I wrote a shit ton during the pandemic, like the initial lockdown.
Right.
Um, but luckily for me, I was dealing with other grief. So that's what I wrote about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's all just really it's such a weird space to exist right now. Like,
But I also think it's like the human condition where, the age that we are, I don't know how old you are, you don't have to tell me, but we have memories of watching 9/11 happen on TV,
right,
but
right.
we can like access those, or it's kind of like talking to, I was talking to somebody else the other day about this, like a vet that might have like coming back from Afghanistan or something that's like PTSD, and it's like I would never be like, tell me all about it. If I was talking to them, if they brought it up,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
I'm happy to chime in and be like, hey man, I'm here for you. Like what happened, or like want to piece it together. But it's not like you don't lead with that. It's
right.
kind
Like,
of
oh
like
hey, are
our
you here?
grandparents talking about the Great Depression. It was a suck fest. They got
Mhm.
through it. Every once in a while, you'll hear an elderly person talk about kind of like that Little Rascals kind of like um, fun thing that they did with their friends, running around in their group of friends. And so it's like not like all dire, horrible, never be a sunny day again stuff, but I kind of feel like I was saying earlier, I need to get past it because I feel like, man, life has to go on and there's like sunny days ahead and there's
Yeah.
more to do. So that's just me. I don't know if you're in the same boat. So
I am in that boat rowing towards the sunny days, I'll tell you that much. Goodness gracious. Um, and if you encountered any of my like work, which you did, Breaking Up on the Moon and Handbook for the Almost Divorced, like I don't write cheery stuff at all. Like my happiest poems, in some readings when people are like, wow, you don't have any happy poems, like, no, I don't.
but you know what? If you do a reading or an open mic, you could always throw them a curveball and like do a cover, what I call it, doing a good cover poem. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, I mean, I haven't been to a reading because there's not really nowhere to go to right now unless we do the Zoom stuff. But every once in a while, I would throw a curve, and they were just like I don't know if I like that rhyming thing you did. That was like meh. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a song by Joni Mitchell. And they're like, oh, I loved it.
Well, in that case.
Oh, faux
Yeah.
pas, faux pas. And then they just have to like muppet themselves like out of the room or whatever.
Right.
They're like. So are there local readings and like open mics that are opening up in your area now? Are you able to kind of get out and test out new stuff?
Kind of. Here in Fort Wayne, coming to you from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Um, I started kind of a reading circuit in 2016, I think is when I started maybe before that. Let's see. I finished Bennington in 16. So it must have been 15. The summer of 2015, I felt like there are no readings here. So I started hosting them. Um, and I've slowed down because everybody has slowed down. Um, so as of now, like there really aren't many and not really hosting many. I had a couple this summer where we could do it outside and feel safe. And people sat in their little pods like all around the yards, um and then when my book came out, we had a small party at a trusted venue called Wunderkammer here in Fort Wayne, and just spaced out properly. People wore masks, but other than those, it's been it's been a dry season for sure, and it's nuts. It feels weird.
What you should think about doing, and I know there's lots of other writers that you know in the area and stuff. You should maybe think about putting like a little, I don't know what your vacation stuff is like in the summer. I assume you get the 2 to 3 months off, but you should think about going to like hitting a couple of cities in like a week, like get some friends together and like rent a van or something and go up to Chicago or Indianapolis and just do like a 3 or 4 city thing and just
And
knock it
I
out in
think
a
I
week.
would love it because, like, even my title, like a Midwestern Poets and Complete Guide, right? You would just, if I like visited a couple of Midwestern cities, like that would be great. Um, and I've thought about it. Like Brett, who you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, she actually lives right downstairs from me. So
You
where
guys could
you
do like a double act.
we totally could. And we do a handful of readings together. Like she's the person who got me started writing. And so I always credit her with kind of being the pathway. She was like, here, hold this lantern, let's walk through this together. And so whenever I do readings and she's around, because she just moved back, and whenever she's around, I'm like, you should do this reading with me. um and so it would be really fun to grab her and just bounce around the surrounding states,
And I
because
think you guys have got to hit like open mics because there's not going to be, I won't say not, that's not the right word I'm trying to say. There won't be for a while. I don't think a lot of, at least like mom and pop bookstores, I don't think they're going to be comfortable with having like
yeah.
crowds. And so open mics, it's like you just got to do your research and just make sure because I've had the bad experience. It's like I've learned from like what not to do. So
Uh-huh.
like try, especially if you're new or not comfortable with open mics, try to stay away from the ones that are music and like stand-up
Yeah.
comedies because the poets just kind of get bulldozed
Yeah.
over or shortchanged or pushed to the side.
Mhm.
But open mics are really where you're gonna make a lot of connections. I kind of call it like they're like America's green room, where I'm not saying like people over there like, hey kid, take my card and pull my car around for me or whatever, but I mean there's like, that's where you're going to meet people who are going to tell you um like someone's doing a thing here in like 2 weeks,
Right.
or like we know this other gig that's happening like 2 towns away in 3 days if you guys want to circle back on your way back through town or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if they're from there, they've definitely, to use a cliche, have their finger on the pulse of the artistic community. So, but I mean, that's a really good idea for sure. It's been an overwhelming experience. I mean, with the book coming out, like it was not, that took me by surprise. Like I got a couple of poems picked up by my press, Eastover. They have a little lit journal called Cut Leaf,
Okay.
and picked up a couple of my poems, and then they said, hey, we like your stuff, do you have a manuscript? And I was like,
I just imagine them calling you and they're like, hey, and you're like, hey.
hey. I was like, I do. in rough shape, like it's not in any particular order.
They're like,
I
we'll
just
take it.
kind of like, hey, send it to me if you're feeling it. And I did. And thus started the whole conversation. And here we are a little
I'm
while
telling
later.
you, like, there's something really romantic about the idea, especially because we've been, like I said, riding our couches and whatever, for the last couple of years, about getting like a box of books and putting them in a trunk or something, and
Yeah.
like a suitcase, and going around. I mean, it's totally old school door to door salesman kind of stuff, but instead of houses, you're going to open mics and stuff. And it's just because it's almost like we're starting at zero again, because and it's almost like you have to go to the college towns, because people over like 50 or 60 or 70 are not going to be doing their mom and pop readings at the old bookstores. It's like it's going to be the kids, it's going to be the teenagers, it's going to be
Yeah.
the colleges that have that stuff, that it's like, well, they're not worried about whatever's going on. They're not having like medical conditions they got to be concerned about and stuff. So well, you know what I mean, because of like the
I
COVID
do.
and the
I'm
flu
sorry. I
shots and
shouldn't have
stuff.
laughed.
You're like, people dying.
Ugh.
Die already. No,
No, no, no.
you're like,
Okay, you've convinced me. Maybe I'll just do some random rogue, throw my books in a box and bounce around
yeah,
and
because
get.
I mean, if you can get them from your press, I don't know how it works with presses and stuff, but yeah, so I don't know. I mean, just think about it, because I know you have like time off in the summer, right?
I mean, theoretically, teachers have time off in the summer.
Yeah. So, or and whatever, you got spring break coming up, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if enough stuff's going to be like weather-wise for you guys.
Yeah. We just got like 12 inches of snow. Started snowing Wednesday. I was off school Thursday, Friday, or of course I was off school Saturday. I was off school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
Um, and you would think that I would have gotten my schoolwork done, and but no, I slept a lot. I wrote a poem. I got caught up on my magazines. I started a new book, and it's like I was productive. I didn't do work, but I was
But
productive.
I mean, just in general, like life has to happen outside of your job. Life has
I
to,
know.
you have
It
to
is
take a breath. And I think
hard
that
balance.
I'm so like, not angry. Angry is not a word I want to use, but it's like I'm so apathetic toward people who don't get or understand that what we've gone through in the last 2 years, it's left a lot of internal scars. I mean, maybe people who haven't gotten sick or had operations, like physical scars, but it's a lot of stuff that it's like I was talking about, getting that frame of mind, about getting past of being in the pandemic frame of mind, of being like, there's a whole world out there,
Hmm.
like reclaim the world or whatever. But there's still a lot of stuff in here that we're here, I guess, that we're processing.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
sometimes it's like you got to take solace in the old TV shows or movies or music.
Right.
I mean, that's why music is so important now. And I'm so glad that a lot of people took advantage of that time in the last 2 years. And even if they couldn't put the music out because they didn't have a way to promote it and tour, every once
Hmm.
in a while you'd hear like somebody upload a song and you're like, oh, like
Yeah.
for me, one of the ones, and I know he only put out that song because he had the captive audience, was Bob Dylan put out that 16-minute long song about, it starts with the Kennedy assassination, and it just goes through like all of his like influences and like music he's listening to or that he goes
Right.
back to get him through. And it's, you'd think it'd be this endless dirge or whatever, but it was really fun and kind of, but it's like he's never going to play that song live. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's an old, number one, he's an old man now. Number two, he's like, oh, fuck the audience. He's just one of those guys that's going to sit at his keyboard with his cowboy hat and just play along. But yeah, that's one of those things where it's like you got the captive audience. It's like do the experimental crazy stuff that
Yeah.
you never would have. It's not a 3-minute song for the radio. So,
Yeah.
and also I got to ask you this because I've been asking a lot of people this, like, what's your opinion of TikTok? Could be good, it could
Okay.
be bad, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I love it. Unfortunately, it is a big time suck for me. At the very beginning of the lockdown, I started a TikTok and I went viral. And then a couple of my students found it, and
Oh,
I had to deactivate that account. So I have a new private one, but I think it's really funny. Um, on the side of TikTok that I revolve in, I learn a lot about the Great Lakes and I learn a lot about birds. And sometimes, occasionally, I watch videos of people falling down. And I'm not in the young TikTok. I'm definitely in like the old millennial sector of the platform. But I think truly it is such this wild space for unbridled creativity. Like the kids that like create some of this stuff and this, how a sound starts and then evolves and morphs into something else that then now has cultural significance. Like it is a feral organism that it's unstoppable right now. And I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's, but I love it. It's crazy. And sometimes I'm just like befuddled by it.
yeah, I'm more on the befuddled. I hate to admit it, like I'm a late technology person, so to me it's like 15 seconds of flashing lights and screaming and kids running around. So maybe I just haven't found the right TikTok or the right
I'm
whatever.
telling you, that's what people say about cats. When they're not cat people, they're just like "Brr, cats." We say people who love cats always say the same thing. You just haven't found the right cat. And I kind of feel that way with TikTok because I don't like that TikTok either. But I follow a girl who just got her doctorate in some kind of like no, it's her master's in fine arts, but she did a lot of like collecting things along the coasts of the Great Lakes, and she made these beautiful like albums of like tangible things and divvied them up, and it's like that's the kind of TikTok that's where I am.
The art of it rather than just like people showing
Yes.
off that they learned a new dance and it's like,
Yeah.
the bass is cranked up to 11.
And the truth of the matter is, like, I have to kind of know about that TikTok too. If my kids, like, if they make some sort of snide joke and I don't understand it, like, then there's, the perpetuation of the stereotype of the teacher just doesn't know what's going on. But if I understand it, then it's like, okay, we don't get away with that kind of like thing in here because she's cool.
Right.
I'm
Well,
not.
I'm just surprised they can even have their phones in the classroom.
Well, I mean, they can't, but if something is like super popular and they talk about it in class or something, I made them do this assignment with tweets. They're reading Great Gatsby, and I told them to come up with a couple of tweets as if they're in the party, the big part, the
Right,
first party
right.
scene where we first meet Jay. And somebody goes, twitter's Twitter's an outdated platform. And I was just like, I know, but what am I supposed to do? Have you like TikToks?
Oh my God, I can't believe you, but you're basically were like, it sounded like you're rolling your eye at that kid and you're gonna be like, I know.
I know, but I'm a lot older than you and I'm comfortable with Twitter. So please just do the
I
assignment.
I had to take Twitter down just because of everything that's gone on in the world in the last few years. It's just like I don't even remember what or anything I put on that thing 15 years ago. I don't think I put anything awful. but I don't
Uh,
know, and God only knows if I was like applying for a job or something or
oh yeah.
whatever, and then they go back through your social media and they're like, do you know in 2009? I'm like, no, I have no
No,
idea.
I don't. I don't. Thank you, but
2007,
no.
whenever that thing started, I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I've said some pretty raunchy things, but all of my social media now is locked down, so nobody can get it until I say that they can. It's weird. It's like Fort
Well,
Knox.
yeah, like as a teacher, like
Yeah.
you have to have like some privacy. Like for me, I also had an Instagram and then I got rid of it years ago. And I think probably this year I've got some like projects and stuff that are going to come out later that I just know more people use Instagram than Facebook. So I'll probably make a shift to Instagram again because I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
plus like I have a daughter and it's like she's at that age now where I'm like she either really wants me to take a picture of something that she's done that she's like happy about or she's like and I'm like oh
Yeah.
I mean we're at that phase where it's like can you drop me off like not right in front of the door of the school. I'm like okay I'm like no I'm like just come on it's raining what are you thinking.
Right, right. It'll be fine. Trust me. No one will remember in 5 years.
Can you drop me off over here, not right by the food court? No, it's
Oh
raining.
man.
Come on.
I can't
But
imagine being a
we're at
parent.
that phase, preteen, all that jazz
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
me being like a single dad too, it's like she can't turn to somebody else in the car and be like, well, there's no. It's
Right.
like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, how do you have people that you work with at the school, like in the teachers lounge, that you can talk to about kind of your creative impulses and kind of like what stuff you're working on, or is it just like a big like only talking about school stuff?
No, I work at an independent school. So we get no funding at all from the state or from the government. It's all tuition from parents, and they give us a lot of freedom when it comes to the curriculum. And I think I'm new there. I'm new, and so I think it's a feather in their cap that they have someone who actually does creative writing and teaches creative writing. And I teach American Lit and Comp also, and so it's like, what better person to have teach writing than a writer? Now, oh, I'll be honest, I'm not great at literary analysis. Like I did a little bit of that in grad school, but it's also like, I'm a creative writer. So they celebrate my success for sure. But there are a lot of people who just like if I say, hey, just got a poem picked up. Um, a lot of people are like, oh, great. And it's just like, but you don't understand, like it's like a 90% rejection rate. And like I was really looking to get into this. And so it's not a negative thing. It's just like how many
No,
poets
it's not a
get.
negative thing, but it's like they don't have any frame of reference for it. If it's
Right.
not something that they're in the trenches with you doing as a fellow writer or artist or anything like that, then they're not in that world, so they don't.
Right. Luckily for me, one of my best girlfriends teaches 11th grade, and she also has her MFA from Antioch. And so, but that's just this year. And so she and I do share a lot, like writing, curriculum ideas, student notes, so it's a big collaborative area there. Somebody else in the English department is a musician. So there is a bubble of creativity. It's just also, when do we find time to talk about anything but like school? And it's wild. It's a different world. It's definitely different than I thought it would be.
Right. Well, and it's also always interesting to run into coworkers like outside of work, and then sometimes
Yeah.
you see them at the store or at the movies or something, and they're
Yeah.
dressed totally different, and they act totally different, and they talk totally different, and
Yeah.
you have to realize like, oh well, when they're at work, they're being professional.
Yeah. I think I should pick up more of that.
No, I think you
Be
should be
more
less
professional at
professional.
work.
No, be less professional. I mean, life is too short, right?
Right. It really is, honestly.
So have you got a chance to kind of travel around with your work, like Zoom readings and stuff like that, and kind of
Not
I'm not a
really.
big fan. I've done a few and that makes me sound like a jackass, but I'm not a fan of the Zoom readings or whatever, where there's like 15 or 20 people trying to read their thing, and you
Yeah.
got the moderator, and they're really flying loose and fancy free with the mute. And there's been so many times where I'm like gonna chime in, or I'm going to like, okay, well, can I read something because I got somewhere to be in like half an hour, and I'm like, and then I'm muted, and I'm like,
Yeah. Um,
uh,
I've done a couple of those. I did this writing workshop called Throughline. I don't know how to say her last name, but her first name is Desiree. She's with Button Poetry, and she's got a collection out called Sync, and it's like phenomenal. And she ran this writing group, and so there were a couple like readings that she put on, and they were great because it was a very safe community, and she would, invite people publicly, but not a ton of people would come. I did another one with youths. They're much younger than me, and I was like, I don't fit in. But other than that, I haven't really done too many, because the one that I tried to host got bombed, and somebody like flew in the room and was like screaming obscenities, I couldn't like shut him off. It was awful. It was awful. And I was
oh
like,
God.
I'm staying far
um
away from that.
yeah, I just feel like, you got to get out there and do like the regular like physical open mics, because
100% the energy is different.
well, not only that, but how do I phrase this? It's like when you're on a stage and you're in a microphone and there's a light on you and the sound is projected around a
Yeah.
room, and you might be competing with a coffee grinder or something, but
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like
no,
it.
but it's like if you have your book, not just loose leaf pieces of paper, but your book, and you're reading from your book, it is a visual cue for someone in their mind to equate listening, looking with the reading, with what you're reading, because they'll see the cover. So in there, and it's like, if I like what I hear and what I see, then I might like to own what I
Yeah.
hear and what I see, because it's not like people trying to be dismissive. I don't think it's just, it's so cold, I think. And like I said, it's not on purpose to tell people,
Right.
if you like my work, you can get it on Amazon or you can order it from here. And people are like, well, I want I
I
want
want,
to.
yeah, the tangible thing. And then it was really cool at the party. I mean, like we treated it, I mean, it was crazy. Like people bought my book and like came up to me and they were like, "Will you sign it?" And I was like, yes, I guess. Like it just, it was the whole experience. It was the holding and the signing and the looking at somebody and saying, like, thank you for supporting me, like who would have thought, that kind of thing. And there's so much love. It just felt so, the whole evening, when I think back, it was just a warmth kind of shrouding the whole thing. And I do miss reading so much. I miss that quiet when you're reading and the whole room is just like you hear people like shifting. Like I
And I
love
always say there's, and I've had ones that have in towns or place or readings I've never been to before, and like no one gets your stuff, or they're not interested because they don't know you, and there's always that one guy in the back of the room that's just like,
yeah.
and then when
Yeah.
it's over, you just get that golf clap of like,
Oh, that would be awful. I
but you
I
know
I haven't
what?
experienced
That
it because
is
I've only read
so,
here.
but it's so important to have that,
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
you need that experience of going to a place, no one knows you, no one might know your book, sometimes it's like you can't bring books in if you're not the featured reader. If you're only doing 5 or 6 minutes at an open mic, you got to
Hmm.
get your 3 poems ready. And whatever you do, oh my God, do not do preamble.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Because I mean, that to me, that's death, because so many people get up and they're like, this poem was
Yeah. What's it?
inspired by this article I read in Gardening Magazine in 1987.
You
And then,
waste time. You waste
well, and then
time.
the worst is if the explanation is longer than the poem. And
Yeah.
by the time you're in the poem, you're like, is this still part of the, when is this
Yeah.
over?
And I try to mentor like younger, and I'm not, I don't, oh, no, but when I invite younger readers who have never been to the mic, I do tell them that, like, let your poem exist without the prologue.
I mean, you can get up and say, like, say something to the host or whatever, hey, thanks for
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
me and blah, blah, blah.
There's an etiquette. There is just an etiquette.
There's an
And
etiquette, but also you can't be too prim and proper too. You got to
no,
get
no,
up
that's not
and,
what I mean at all. You don't, I would never consider myself prim and proper, but don't spend too much time on the preamble, but definitely say thank you to the host. And before you get off stage, say thank you to the place that let you have, it's this, it's a thing.
and you don't
It's
get
its
up there and you're
own
like,
thing.
uh, is there food here? How does it work?
Yeah, yeah.
Or, I mean, there's always hecklers, there's always people shuffling, there's always that
Yeah.
random person who, oh, I thought I put it on silent. I don't, oh, shit. But there's also somebody that's just like, fuck it. And you're like, what? And then they get up and they're just like holding their stomach like they've had to pee for like 40 minutes. And they're just like doing ass to crotch to like every single person to get down the
Yeah.
aisle.
Oh yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
just like, we'll wait. No, no,
Go
I've got
take care
another
of
one, but
business.
we'll wait. Are you good? Are you good? Are you, no, close the bathroom door all the way, all the way. And
Mm.
then, sometimes you've been like reading some like heart wrenching thing. And then you're just like, and then I look into her eyes and like the coffee grinder goes off and you're just like,
Yeah.
we'll wait. But it's like, hey, if it's a coffee shop, it's a business,
Yep. Yeah, for
they don't
sure.
need to wait for anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm a little curious because I've seen the pictures and I've seen kind of like you now on the Zoom. So tell me a little bit about the tattoos. They look
Oh,
pretty
okay.
cool. Yeah.
Um, I got my first tattoo when I was 18. Little star on my ankle. Um, and sorry, my cat's gonna start being an asshole. Excuse me, sir. Ugh.
He's like, I hear another man. What's going on?
Yeah, he is. He makes me mad sometimes. Okay, so I got my first tattoo at 18, and it's just been I just collect little pieces. Like it's just a lot of patching, little quilted work kind of things just everywhere. Um, and
What's
I don't,
the story behind, is that the moon?
it is the moon. Yeah. I love her. Um, in school, in school, um, April Bernard, who was one of my teachers, brilliant poet. She's got a couple of collections out, Swan Electric and Brawl and Jag, I think is her latest. It's so good. Um, she is in my mind forever as just like badass, right? She said this one sound clip that overplays in my head over and over and over and over again. And she says, poetry is bigger than your feelings. And that's cathartic for me because my last partner, he was kind of a holdup on the manuscript work because he didn't want me writing too much about a relationship. And I was like, listen, it's kind of a thing.
But
You're
you
with a
know
poet.
what? I mean, you're not
It,
going to be a psycho and put his name in there.
no, no, not at all.
And
So
it's
anyway,
as if someone's name is not in there. Think about the entire history of writing and like
yeah,
music, where
I
talking
know.
about relationships. I mean, if you put your name in there, yeah, you should be punched in the face. But
He
if
is
you
a very
don't, then you
private
can say
person.
anything because it could be about anyone.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. He was very private, and I'm not mad at him for it because I still have the book out and I still write about him. But what another thing that she said was somebody kind of apologized for writing about the moon and said something like blah blah blah, the cliche of writing about the moon. And she was like, "Wait, people have been writing about the moon for thousands of years." She was like, "If you're a poet's job is to write about the moon." And so this is a thing that lives in my head. And so I threw this big reading called Wild Wolf Moon, where Brett read, I read, and my friend Sarah read, and we all got matching moon tattoos after the reading.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. It was such a good weekend. It was such a good weekend. So that's the moon tattoo. It's entrenched in poetry, and then like the three moon sisters, we just got them in different spots. Brett's is right here, my friend Sarah's is right here, and mine's on my forearm.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So obviously you've done a lot of poetry. Are there other kinds of writing that you have done that you haven't put out, or like some that you want to try in the next year or so?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking me that, because I'm trying my hand at creative nonfiction. I'm really into the idea of um, essay. I think that I could do it. I have a collection of like 10 maybe that I'm like way too nervous just to do anything with them. But this summer, I've had such a hellacious season. My partner left me May 8th of last year. Then I had like a vehicular accident, and then I had a surgery, and then my papa died. And it's like this whole, and I just think like I need to write essays, which is funny. Like maybe any other kind of person lists all these things and says, "Man, I need to take a break." I'm like, I need to write some essays.
No,
um,
that's great. I say follow your bliss. It's like you can't always be pouring your heart out into like 1 page or 1.5 page poems, because sometimes what you need to say takes more than that. And it's like it
yeah,
doesn't take that form. Like I get, I don't know, derided by my some of my friends that are writers that are like, you never do any form writing, you never do this or do that. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes it just comes pouring out, and it's like it doesn't live in a nice, cute, easily
I,
portable box. It's just
yeah,
it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And then if you're down with it, if you're cool with it, then cool. And if not, move on.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about the essay. I asked a couple of my prose writer friends. I'm sorry, he keeps moving my computer. Um,
That's like, look at me.
he's ridiculous. Like I am just gonna turn around and show you. Like, look at it.
Aw.
Ugh. He keeps bunny kicking my computer. I'm like, well, where
He's
do you
like,
get
I'm luxuriating over here. So
the
what's
sun? The
up?
sun.
He's like, come on, mama.
Yeah, pat my belly. Um, my prose writer friends are like, the answer to this. Where do you start? You just start. But I'm like reading craft books, and there's a trepidation
I don't know.
about
I
it.
mean, you gotta jump in with both feet. Even if
I'm
you're just sitting in the bathtub with a glass of wine and a little table with a little radio and like your notebook, and you're just like, ode to a bored woman in a tub or something.
yeah. I have a lot. And that's maybe also the overshadowing feeling. It's just like I've had
There's an
such
expression. You want to hear it?
sure.
You got to get yourself out of your own way.
You're not the first person who said that to
It's
me.
not an original expression. I'm just saying.
I'm not mad about it. It's just like, yeah, okay, the universe is telling me multiple times, like, I am my own barrier. I know that. Oh,
And there's nothing holding you back, because literally, like, I wrote all this stuff down. You've got books out, you've got poems out. People want your stuff. I'm sure if not this publisher that you've already worked with, then another one would be more than happy to take that on, because you have connections, you've done Zoom readings, you've done imperfect readings. You just got to go for it,
I just
man.
got to do it. I just got to sit my little ass down and write an essay.
Or you know what's even better sometimes is to get out of your comfort zone. Go take your notebook and go to a restaurant or a coffee shop and just tell them to keep the coffee coming.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's like, you know, you're gonna buy something or they tend to kick
yeah.
you out. So they're like, lady, you've been here for 14 hours. And you're like, really? I
Well,
didn't know. I like it says QWERTY on your forehead because you had your face on your keyboard or whatever. And then they're just like, you're like, oh no, I'm working. And it's like, lady, it's not even on. No, it's on in my head. I'm like, that's scary, lady. What the fuck are you doing?
maybe that's my spring break. Maybe that's my spring break thing. I mean, I have a few. Let's like be honest. I have a few essays. They're there. And I think they're whatever they are. But maybe I just
No, maybe you just no, I'll finish that. Maybe
yeah,
you
go.
just need to take your notebook and on the way home from work, you go to a different place. There's 5 days. So maybe Monday you go to a place. Don't do more than an hour because you know you have
Yeah, so much work.
that schoolwork stuff is lurking.
Serious.
It's waiting to claim your evening, but you know you have to do that. You know you're going to end up with a glass of wine at 11 o'clock watching reruns of your favorite show. But until that time, you know, like it's on your way home. Like make sure in the morning you say you always take a notebook with you. You got your fucking MacGyver backpack.
Yeah, I do.
You know, just stop somewhere on the way home. Only give yourself an hour because you know it's a school day.
Yeah,
And just an hour because if you wait too much later, you're going to be pissed off and cranky because you've got that stuff. But if it's like, I'm sure you're done at like what, 3 o'clock, between 3 and 4, you know, someplace before like a dinner rush comes in or whatever at a restaurant or a coffee house. And just give yourself that time, just sit down and just be like, I'm not at home. I'm not in that world. I'm not at school. I'm not in that
yeah,
world. I'm in the I spent $4 to be here for an hour world.
yeah,
And you can you know what's awesome is you can literally just sit there and people watch and someone will say something stupid, something will say something profound.
yeah,
Somewhere in the middle there's
yeah.
poetry.
You're right. You know, that is actually quite a good idea because once I get home,
Right.
I'm like, moving
Well,
things
not
around.
only that, but you're in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You're in your MacGyver pajamas or whatever the fuck you're gonna slip into. I don't know. And you got your box wine, I don't know, your ice cream. And you're just like, I'm so done with fuck the world.
Yeah, you're
Well, you
right.
know
And that,
what? Sometimes you need that white noise of the world to kind of go like, I gotta let the world in a little bit because the world's
yeah,
not gonna stop.
yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
God.
let me get off my soapbox here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because like you're right. I do. And I'm
You
lonely.
shouldn't feel bad about it. It's just like sometimes somebody needs to just, you know, punch you through the Zoom chat and kick you out of your apathy of not only apathy, it's like tunnel vision of like,
Hmm.
it's Monday, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, it's
Yeah, it's
Thursday. Is
definitely
my
not
favorite show
apathy.
starting tonight? It's Friday.
Oh, honey, I don't watch TV unless it is the weekend because it's work. Right now it's this. And I have a writing group on Thursdays. And so that's I get a poem a week.
I'm
And
telling you right now, if you could make a promise to yourself that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because you've got plans Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you stop at a different place each night. Like I said, you don't have to spend much money. You don't have to go out of your way. You can be local, have your notebook, your MacGyver survival packet,
yeah,
and like seriously just sit there and let life happen around you with people ordering or talking in conversations. Like I said, somebody will say something idiotic, somebody will say something brilliant. In the middle, there's poetry, and
mhm,
just be there and be like, oh, that's so dumb. I'm writing that down. Or like,
Yeah, I'm
that's
writing.
brilliant. I'm gonna cop that. Or and your nonfiction stuff will happen. It could just be like, you know, um, a joke I overheard at Dairy Queen,
Yeah.
or like star-crossed Starbucks lovers or something, or just
Yep.
like when I was in line at Home Depot buying light bulbs.
Right.
Just I don't know.
Okay. All right. I solemnly
I mean, I'm
swear.
not like trying to be like a cruel taskmaster and be like,
No, but
nah,
you're
do
right.
this.
You're right. In order to do it, you just
Do
do
it.
it.
Be like Yoda. There's no try.
There is no try. Do what does he say? Do or do not.
There is
There
no
is no
try.
try.
Right.
Nerd, we're
And if a
nerds.
really expensive Muppet can do it, so can you.
So can you. Uh, Thank you for that.
No problem. So, believe it or not, we've been going for almost an hour. So, I wanted to give you a chance to kind of, plug your website, your social media, if you have any stuff on
Sure.
YouTube, to where people can find your work.
Okay, great. So as you said at the very beginning, my sweet little book, Midwestern Poets and Complete Guide to Symbolism through Eastover. And believe it or not, you can buy it other places and not just Amazon. There are like indiebound.org, but on Eastover's website, there are all these like smaller places you can buy. Not that I don't want to anger the Amazon gods, but you know,
They're like, we will cut you out.
right. And I'm like, no, please don't. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Erica Ann, ERICAANN, and it is restricted right now, but I will like
They're
accept
like,
the
if you're
request.
cool, then we'll figure something
Yeah, if you're not my students, then yes, I will.
out.
I'm also a big avid exerciser, and so I have an exercise Instagram too at Erica Size, ERICACISE. And sometimes the two overlap. So there's a little poetry on the exercise and a little exercise on the poetry. So
Right on.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I used to keep my website up to date, but I just don't. My newest stuff, honestly, just Googling Erica Anderson Center brings up mostly me, because there's not a lot of hyphenated Anderson Centers out there. I think I might be the only one.
Fair
So,
enough. Fair
so
enough.
that's pretty cool. And I wish that I had like a more concise answer. But my book is there and I'm on the social medias. I'm old lady Bing Bong on TikTok. There's just a lot of fun stuff. Oh,
So are there clips of you like on YouTube, like doing readings and open
hmm,
mics and stuff? And
I did just remember my friend Steve Hinn. He's an incredible poet in this part of the country. Um, he invited me to read at a graveyard. And
cool.
so if you type in my name and graveyard poetry, my set will pop up. So it was really cool. It was
All right.
really cool.
Hey, whatever gets your stuff out there. So
Yeah.
last big question is, since I know you are working with young minds and everything, but there are going to be people watching this that are just kind of getting their first taste of either reading online or presenting their work at an open mic or a reading in the next couple of months. So what advice and maybe some pitfalls to look out for either young or writers that are just kind of putting their work out there in the world now?
Okay. Yeah. The thing that no one really told me until I got to grad school, and then I try to tell my young ones, is that like you're gonna be told no. People are not going to be receptive. People might not, they might like more associative leets and less narrative or whatever. You just cannot take it personally.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, one analogy that I use, and it's old school, but is the baseball batting average analogy, which is if you get on base 3 out of 10 times, that's 30%, or hitting 300, you're considered an all-star. 3 out of 10.
Yeah,
Most people get published maybe 1 out of 20 or maybe 1 out of 15 things they submit if they're lucky.
I'm telling you.
And it's all not so much about and I tell this to
I
people
know.
too. It's not the quality of the
Yep,
writing. It's not that you didn't send the right things in for that theme of what they're looking for that issue. It's they are inundated with stuff and they've got to cherry pick. And
yep,
it's just kind of like, hey, we're sorry. It's just not right for us at this time.
yep, yeah.
And you got to not take that personal because
Yep.
for them, it is a business.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I tell my young writers. We just had this big competition and a couple of poets who I thought should have been acknowledged weren't. And so I pulled up my submittable and I said, I just want you to look at this. Like this is when all the way down, this is when I started publishing. Count how many green ones. And
Not
they're
that
like,
many. Yeah.
not that many, not that many. And it's just, this is something you keep doing.
Right.
That's my advice.
That's good advice. Well, I'm so glad we finally got a chance to talk.
Yeah. Thank you for
And I do
asking.
have to let you know, which is the same thing that I told India, who's the woman I interviewed yesterday, that my co-host Jen and I, we are going to be taking a hiatus away
Okay.
doing the podcast. So you and India are going to be the last ones for a long time that we're going to upload.
Wow.
So I think what we said we're going to do, we're making that. So don't say anything, but we'll make an announcement on Monday that we're not saying goodbye. We're not saying we're never going to do it again, which is she being in Ohio, me being in California. We both have had some like really serious life events that we've got to kind of wrap up and take care of, and it might not
Yeah.
wrap up and take care of them anytime soon. But so we're gonna space your stuff out so that way you get, and this is such a nice thing, you get weekends because you're gonna, I'll post hers on this coming Friday, yours the following Friday. That
Okay.
way you get more eyeballs because it's a long form
Yeah.
hour on
Yeah.
YouTube on the weekend than you would on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And also that way you're not competing with the Olympics
Oh yeah.
because
That's happening.
people are not really watching YouTube
And
at night
yeah, they're
now.
not
They're
really watching
watching
anything else.
downhill skiing and figure skating. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to reach out so you're like, when is it gonna post my damn video? So that way and I know there were a lot of other people. We're just gonna push stuff off. We got to deal with some life stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
can't really
I get it.
divulge it here on a recorded
No,
chat,
I get it.
but
I get it.
just wanted to let you know
Thank you.
and just say thank you so much. You were so awesome to talk to.
Oh, thanks. It's fun. I mean, I love talking about poetry. I'll do it all day. So
Nice.
thank you for asking me.
No problem. Well, you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
All right. Thanks, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye.